Hope you guys are doing well.
Yeah.
How you guys doing?
Good.
All right. My name is Viriya and I'm from BAnQ. If you don't know what BAnQ is, it's the National Library and Archives in Quebec. So usually I speak in French. So today, well, I'm in charge of digital strategy and data governance, and today I will be presenting with Jesse from Evolving Web. You want to introduce?
That's
Oh,
very loud. I'm just going to move that down. Yeah, so my name is Jesse Dyck. I'm a solutions architect with Evolving Web, and we both worked on the project to revamp the digital presence of BAnQ.
Yeah.
I'll let you get that kicked off.
Yeah, so on the agenda today, we'll be talking about the context at BAnQ, the challenges, our collaboration with the Evolving Web, the solutions, the results, and the future opportunities. Next slide.
All right, so I'm going to assume that most people here do know who Evolving Web is. But just in case, I'll just spend a second and just say who exactly we are. We are a full-service digital agency. We're based in Montreal. We're here today, obviously in New York. Thank you for joining us. We've been working on Drupal for about 17 plus years. These are just a couple of projects. Of course, there's the project with BAnQ. We've worked on some work with Princeton School of Public and International Affairs, University of Oregon, and a whole bunch of other projects out there as well.
I know it's going to sound a bit cheesy, but what if I told you that a library can change the world? Well, at least the world of a little girl that I was when I was a newcomer in Quebec. The libraries I used to go to during my youth allowed me to open my world, to enrich my imagination. And today, well, it's a great honor and a great privilege for me to be able to contribute to their development, and a privilege to be working within an organization that's such important for Quebec society, that has the mission to bring access to knowledge and culture for all. And as artisans like yourselves, we can all contribute to this mission and use technology as a lever, as a tool for good, and to contribute to this, to bring high quality information. Well, actually, Viriya just mentioned that that's kind of a challenge today, to have access to high quality information when there's a lot of information overload, and that's a real challenge. So I chose those two pictures primarily to highlight the contrast between the two locations and what they symbolize. And in the second picture to your right, we've incorporated archival footage. Well, actually, these are two of our main buildings in Montreal. And in the second picture to your right, we incorporated archival footage from Montreal's 1967 Universal Expo for the projection mapping on our building's facade. And this project reflects one of our key challenges today, which is maintaining our relevance with younger generations by inspiring them to engage with their history and cultural heritage. And obviously, one way to achieve that in order to stay relevant with a younger generation is through digital media. But back in 2020, maybe next slide, please. Yeah, back in 2020, we did have a digital presence, but we had a lot of challenges. That's why I use actually the spaghetti, because it's the word that we use to talk about our digital experience back then. But yes, we did have a lot of challenges, and it was mainly due to the lack of governance for our main website. Nobody was really in charge of of maintaining the website. There were no editorial vision. We've come a long way. There was a lot of information about our organization, corporate information, but not so much about our products and services, and finally we had like outdated technology and functionalities which made developments very difficult. And we also had a lot of ambitions, which are to serve 8.5 million Quebecers. We didn't want to leave anyone behind through our digital transformation journey, and because we want to reduce, to bridge the gap in digital literacy and to be inclusive, and particularly with a segment of users that have visual limitations, and because we do provide a special service for them. And on the operational, also on the technical and operational side, we want a solution that is future-proof, that makes it easy to maintain, and new developments and renew content easily. Next slide, please. And obviously, we can realize this project without the help of a solid partner like Evolving Web, especially if we take into account our context. We are in the middle of a digital transformation journey, and for this project we had like 100 and more contributors from BAnQ, and we needed a partner for keeping the pace, for the speed, and for change management, because we needed to inject new ideas from outside of our organization, inject talent from outside of our organization to inject new ideas, new practices that we can learn from. And also we needed a team, not only individuals, because work, it allows for smoother communications and a much more better collaboration. So we need a solid partner with that in-depth experience, empathetic, that really understands our context, that is very understanding and patient with us. So I would say our success was mainly due to this partnership, and we were really lucky to have the privilege to work with such a talented team.
And so I thought about doing a big reveal about the chosen solution that we went forward with, but I think that's kind of obvious given where we are. So Drupal, of course, was the chosen platform in the end. And if I want to talk about why that made sense, there's a number of reasons. Definitely the flexibility and modularity of the platform. Viriya talked about the need for a long-term solution, the need to continue to evolve over time, and including now today, still evolving the platform. That modular and composable architecture of Drupal really gives that ability. It allows for better API integrations. A lot more features to be added over time. We can continue to evolve it, and then the open source nature of it as well means that we can fight sort of the idea of technological obsolescence. We're pretty confident in Drupal here. We know that the community is going to be behind it for the long term, so it was a great choice for the continued future of the BAnQ. We also know that we can, with it, empower the content editors and the staff, especially the librarians at the organization, to have a better and more decentralized content management capabilities. We're going to talk a bit more about that. I wanted to highlight some of the features that we added in there, get a little more into the technical side of those. Drupal also has a really strong community, of course, and strong security support with that security team that manages a lot of the platform. And then a strong commitment to accessibility. It's been, since the early days that Drupal's had a commitment to becoming both accessible on the front end of the website, but also on the back end for content editors too. So that was a great choice when we had such a wide range of content editors using the site. And then we have great cloud provider options as well with Drupal, Acquia and Pantheon. The site is hosted on Acquia today, and it's been a great option for them. So to talk a bit more about some of the technical things that we've done on the site, one of the key things that we actually did was to embrace Layout Builder to enhance that content editing experience that we mentioned. That allows us to create custom layouts, custom blocks, really create a much easier content editing experience for the team. There's also a fairly unique scenario where we actually have two different single sign-on providers happening on the site for end users versus content editors. That's been a challenging feature, but is working out well. Different APIs for seamless data fetching and management. I'm going to dive a little more into that in a second, as well as the accessibility features on the website. There are some specific features, like Viriya mentioned, especially for people with visual disabilities. So we're going to talk a little bit more about those as well. In terms of some of the other back-end integrations, there's a lot of video hosted internally at BAnQ that we wanted to expose through the Wowza video service. And so that required a custom integration to be built for that, so that we can store or access all of those and expose them to content editors. The site heavily uses the web forms module, as most Drupal websites do, and we're using that to store a lot of data on back-end internal APIs, so that we're kind of segregating them off from the public website, while also sending them to the right place. So there's no need to worry about, exporting that data manually and importing it into some other service. We're just doing that directly, and also reducing some of the potential security risks there. We've also set up a couple of custom monitoring endpoints so that we can make sure that all these integrations are actually working at all times. Should something happen, we know exactly where to go because we have that alert telling us exactly where there's a problem that we need to investigate. But what we really wanted to talk about is actually this one feature that I think the team, the content editing team, specifically the librarians, really love, but then also the end users, the people actually getting to the site. This is in the Explore section of the website, and it's basically a list of suggestions, suggested content from the catalog, the very deep catalog of BAnQ. And really the idea was they wanted to be able to expose some of that content in an easy to manage way, but also not have to duplicate that content. There's back-end catalog systems that stores all the data on all these different pieces of information, whether it be videos or video games or books or any number of things, old archival records. All that data is stored in back-end catalogs. We want to expose some of that to the end user, the people visiting the site. And so we want to do that in a way that we can reduce content duplication entry work, but also keep it up to date on the website as maybe that catalog starts to evolve a little bit. So the solution was kind of to try to do a bit of a relatively simple syncing solution in a sense. We can sync the content into Drupal and expose it directly to the end users. But we don't want to, of course, duplicate the whole catalog in Drupal. That would just be way too much. Probably would pose more challenges than its solutions. So what we ended up doing, this is a sort of a high-level version of that, is to only sync in the content that's actually being used. And librarians know their content very well. They know their serial numbers of their content very well. So we can actually do that just through a single field that will connect to that back-end data store and pull that content into Drupal as needed. So the workflow is basically they would pop in that serial number into this suggestions content type. That's going to populate all that data from the Drupal backend, from the collection backend, and bring it into Drupal. And then they can create the actual list of suggestions, the collection, the topic that they're wanting to create the suggestions for. And that is what, at that point, we see that on the front end. But then we have that concern about what if something updates on that back end, on that catalog system. So we run just a daily cron job in Drupal that can pull that data back in, bring it back into Drupal and keep it up to date so that content editors don't have to worry about that manually. The users are seeing those up-to-date content and everything's nicely syncing in there. So that was one that we think has had a pretty good impact on both sides of it. And then the accessibility features, we added quite a few additional features on there. There is this global accessibility menu that you can kind of see on the lower side of that. That's the sidebar that's on each page of the site. And when you click on that, you get this this global menu that is on every page. And we do things like built-in font scaling, so you can very easily adapt the font sizing. There's 3 different themes available, and I'll show those in a moment. We also have the ability to set default subtitles for all videos across the site, so that you're always going to have those subtitles available. And all of this is actually remembered across your sessions, just through cookie-based remembering those settings. So you don't have to set these up each and every time. It's consistent, and you get that same experience. I did want to quickly show the different themes. This is just a snapshot from a couple of weeks ago of the homepage. This is the default sort of original theme. And then we have the high contrast theme, helps with different visual disabilities. And then the inverted high contrast theme, which again is another potentially preferred theme. Now there's different ways that we could have done this. 2.5 years ago, we chose the idea of using what was still a fairly new idea on the web, which was the CSS custom properties, or CSS variables, if you will. And those kind of look like this. This is the default theme. Just you can just see a whole bunch of colors that doesn't really make too much sense. It's not super important about what every single thing there means, but the important thing is how it changes as you then switch to the next theme. So you notice, besides the brightness change, a lot of those variables are changing. And it's just as simple as that. We just have to change some of those variables, and then it applies across the whole site. And we can do that on a number of different themes. So it kind of becomes this really scalable solution. In theory, we could add a bunch of new themes and really just create that all just in this one spot. So it was, at the time, it was a fairly novel approach. Now I think it's become a little bit more common as some of these features have become more common across the web. But it was a really nice solution for that.
Yeah. Well, in terms of the results, we now can say that now we have technological foundations to propel ourselves into the future. We have increased user experience, since now we have they now have greater ease to get directly finding information and get directly to the products, especially with the list of recommendations feature. And we have more flexibility for content creators, for the editors that could be now more creative by using content, for the 14 content templates and 17 components in the layout builder. So they have lots to play with and be creative to showcase our products. And we've increased our Net Promoter Score from 54% to 59% actually. And also our customer effort score as well, from 5 to 5.7. And for the last year we've had more than 2 million active users. And finally, we've achieved standards of excellence in accessibility in order to be more inclusive. That is definitely part of our vision. And to be more inclusive and provide services to our patrons with visual limitations. And now for future opportunities. Well, we'd like to move from a generic experience to a more personalized experience. We would like to reuse available content and make more use of maybe taxonomies to make the site even more dynamic. And we also want to find solutions for for the editorial team to facilitate the production of content, and particularly by using AI as a lever for content suggestions. And we also have more than 20 sites in our ecosystem. We have a really complex ecosystem, and we want to move those other properties into Drupal as well. Anything you'd like to add, Jesse?
Yeah, I think that's, as I said earlier, starting with Drupal is going to give us that option to continue to explore more and more and more, and we're just happy to see the site expanding and hoping to continue to collaborate on that.
Thanks so much. So that concludes our presentation. I thank you.